With your classes now formed, you can begin to assign students to those classes. The easiest option is to import them from a text or CSV file, which is covered in the important student roster tutorials. An alternate way is to input them manually. To do so, find the desired class. In this case, I'll go to my top class, tap roster, and from this screen you would tap add student, and you could enter in the information accordingly. So in this case, I will use for an example my daughter's name, which is Emily, and Ralph. And you'll see an option for a primary email and an alternate email. So I'll type in our email at Powerhouse. And speaking of the emails, when you go to share a note taken within Chronicle, perhaps a picture of a student's work, these associated email addresses, whether one or both, will automatically appear in the To text field. This functionality is intended to promote effective communication between you as a teacher and invested parties in the student's life. Whether you would like to insert email addresses now, later, or not at all, the next step would be to tap Save and add another if you'd like to get right to the next student, or just Save if you're ready to move on. Before I tap Save, I'd like to point out that you can include a student's picture, either capturing it from the photo library or directly from the camera, and to do so I would just tap on this pencil icon, and here you can see the prompts. I'm going to tap Cancel for now. And this thumbnail will appear on a number of associated screens with this student throughout Chronicle. The one last thing I'd like to mention before tapping Save is that there's an option to add a note to the student record. When you tap Add Notes, which I'll do now, you're provided with several text fields. One, the teacher, which would be you. 2, the grade, which would be the grade the student is currently in. 3, the year, which of course would be the year in which you're teaching the student. And 4, a text field in which you can insert any pertinent note. And if you'd like to add another text field, you just simply tap the plus icon. These notes could be services the student receives, names of the parents, placement considerations, proficiency in subject areas, or whatever else you deem appropriate. You can also attach multiple pictures using the camera functionality right here. And you can pull from the photo library or the camera. I'll just tap Cancel for now. This could be a referral form you filled out, an email from a parent, or a picture of a parent input form. It could capture a beginning of the year student self-assessment or goal sheet. There are a number of different use cases in which this functionality can be beneficial. So what I'm going to do is cut out and come back in. I'm going to input some sample notes just to give a general feel of what this may look like. Okay, we're back, and here you can see some sample notes that I inputted. I chose to use 4 text fields, but you can use as many as you'd like. And I did not include any picture notes, but if you were to include picture notes, the thumbnails would appear right below, of which you could just tap to quickly access and swipe the screen to go from one to the next. And as has been incorporated throughout Chronicle's design from the get-go, you have the speed notes icon, which you can use to access and reuse previously entered text. And from here I will tap Done, and here I could see the note that I added, my name, the grade, the year. There would be a camera icon if there were a picture associated with the note, which you could just tap to quickly access the picture. And as you can see here, I could scroll to see the rest of the note. To enter back into the note, I just simply tap the note itself, and I'm back in, and I'll go back to reading roster, and here I see the student record. Now this information can also be securely passed from one year's teacher to the next in order to shorten the lag time experienced getting to know a student's strengths and needs, both academically and social emotionally. So you can imagine how advantageous this would be to me as the teacher to have this information before the student entered my class. But for now, I am going to tap Save, And this says student information has been updated successfully. I had actually entered the student before and had to go back in. Unfortunately, the video editing software had crashed on me and I had to redo this, which is why that appeared, but usually it'll say student inputted successfully or something along those lines. From here, left to right, you'll see the camera functionality if you'd like to quickly capture the student's picture to associate with him or her. And then you'll see the student record icon, which brings you, if I tap on it, to the screen that we were at before. And now let me go to cancel. Next we have the student history icon, which again you can visit the important student history tutorial to find out more. If you tap on it for now, it will say no student history imported. And coming from the feedback from a user, so we love feedback, so always feel free to contact us. We have a gradebook icon which will bring you right to this student's gradebook. And last but not least, we have a place where you can input the level or score of the student, and I would just simply tap the general area. Now the level could be a reading level or a numerical proficiency score, and the score could be possibly a standardized test score or maybe a benchmark assessment for the class. These levels and scores are accessible and updatable from various screens throughout Chronicle, which can be used for reference or instructional decisions. But I'm going to press cancel for now. If the screen were completely populated, this is what it may look like. And again, the levels and scores are viewable and updatable throughout many screens in Chronicle, and you'll see the associated student picks as well. Now, if I'm a teacher who teaches the same students for multiple classes, I can simply go to my next class. In this case, I will go back to customize classes and I will form a class. I'll just call it demo, and we'll tap save. And here my new class appears on top, but you can see if I tap on roster that I don't have any students enrolled in this class right now. So I will tap use roster and I can select however many students I want. I'm going to hit the select all, and then we'll say that maybe Missy is not in this class, and then I'll tap save, and all of these students are now enrolled in this demo class. If one of my students were to leave this class but is still enrolled in other classes, this is where I'd go to delete him or her without deleting the student completely. But if the student were to move and were not in any of my classes, I would go to the home screen and I switched to 2014-2015 from 2016 where we were before, just to show you what a populated class may look like. And I would then click on roster, and this is where I would delete that student if he or she were moving. So I'd click on the student record icon and then hit delete, and that student would be deleted from all classes. I'm going to tap cancel. And if I were, say, a middle school or high school teacher teaching 100+ different students, there'd be no way I'd be inputting them manually. It would be from here that I would import from one file all my students in all classes, then go to customize classes and select the ones who belong in each class, and assigning them accordingly. Either way, once I've assigned my roster of students to my classes, I'm all set to begin chronicling.